Welcome back to Joint, Conditional, and the Two Laws That Run Everything, Part 8 of 8, the finale. In Part 7, we finished Sam's risk decomposition with the law of total variance and found most of the risk lies within the regimes. Now we step back and assemble the whole picture. Why conditioning, conditional expectation, and the two laws are not isolated tricks, but the structural spine of everything you build over the next 8 weeks. Then we point to your notebook and where the camp goes next. Step back and look at what you now have. Conditioning is the act of using information. The conditional expectation of x given y is the best forecast of x from y, and it is a random variable in its own right. The very object regression will estimate. The law of iterated expectations says you can build up an overall average from conditional averages without distortion, the backbone of every control, for y argument you will make for the rest of the camp. The law of total variance says risk splits cleanly into a within-group part and an across-group part, how you reason about where uncertainty comes from, and how you will understand a regression's residual variance in week 2. Together, these two laws let you decompose a complicated random quantity along the lines of something you know, then put it back together with a guarantee that nothing was lost. These are not isolated tricks. They are the two structural identities that let you decompose a complicated random quantity along the lines of something you know, then reassemble it losslessly. Every later chapter is, in some sense, a special case or an application. A surprising number of proofs in this book are simply apply iterated expectations, then simplify. Regression is literally estimating the conditional expectation of x given y. The no omitted variable bias arguments of week 2 and the causal identification logic of weeks 3 and 4 all lean on these same identities. The next chapter takes the immediate next step. It formalizes expectation, variance, and covariance as geometry. Expectation as a kind of projection, covariance as an inner product, correlation as the cosine of an angle. That will turn the algebra you saw flickering through these proofs into pictures you can reason with directly. Now it is your turn. Open Notebook 1.1 on iterated expectations and total variance by simulation. There you rebuild Sam's regime table as a simulation, draw a few 100,000 pairs of x and y from the joint distribution, estimate the conditional means and variances by simple grouping on the regime, and watch the simulated within plus across sum converge to the directly computed total variance of 2.110 as the sample grows. Then run the extension, refine the two regime coding into a finer grid, and see for yourself how the within versus across split shifts. The warning from Part 7 made concrete. As a warm-up by hand, compute the probability the day was stormy given the portfolio lost 2%. You already saw the answer 0.75. Make sure you can reproduce it. To summarize the finale and the whole lesson, conditioning is using information, and the conditional expectation of x given y is the best forecast of the return from the regime, a random variable, and exactly what regression estimates. The law of iterated expectations rebuilds the overall mean from conditional means without distortion. The law of total variance splits risk into a within-group part and an across-group part, telling Sam most of the wobble is irreducible within regimes. The unifying idea: decompose a complicated random quantity along the lines of something you know, then reassemble it with nothing lost. That is the structural spine of the entire camp. Next chapter, we turn this algebra into geometry. Well done. See you there.